In this tutorial, we're gonna learn how we can create the reinforcement of footings in Revit. We're going to model common footing rebars such as L and U shapes while also using 2D commands. Stay with me and let's get started. Alright, so we're gonna start off this tutorial in a completely empty Revit file. But before we are actually starting to model something in Revit, I just want to show you what we're going to do. So I just googled reinforce column foundation drawing so that we are on the same page. We're going to try to make this U-shaped rebar the same in the perpendicular direction, and then also having those longitudinal column rebars in both directions. So now that I showed what we are going to do, first off we're going to model a column and then a foundation. So in order to do that, go to structure, column, vertical column. I'm just gonna put it somewhere, and now you can see, yes, it's a steel column. Just click on it and change it to whatever concrete column. And now the next step is actually to go ahead and use a isolated foundation. And now you can see that we're gonna snap here actually, and you cannot see it now in level 2, but we're just jumping into the 3D view and we can see that this foundation is here. Again, depending on your case, you might want to change this family or the dimensions. I think in our case it's quite fine, but there's actually things that are a bit that we can change to make it a bit nicer. First off, we want to hide the analytical model, so there was that colorful line, and I also don't really like the levels, so let's go ahead and just unhide them, just hide them, sorry. Yes, so now we're all prepared, and now the first thing that we're going to do is actually, I'm gonna go here, we're gonna create actually 2 section views so we can actually draw the rebars in a section view. To do that, go to level 2, this is our column, and first off we also need a reference plane later, so let's draw that first. Let's have it like this. Give it a name. I'm just going to give it the name 1 now. And then we're going to do that another time. And we're going to call this one reference plane 2. Now on those reference planes, we're going to draw the section views. Sorry if that was a bit too fast. Section planes, section views can also be drawn here with this icon. Now we're gonna do the same here again, and now we can actually jump into that view. So right click and then go to view, and there we see our column and our foundation. Now I want to make this a little bit higher. Oops. It's hard to select. Okay, now it worked. Perfect. All right. And then this section view, I actually don't want to see that in here. So again, annotation categories, and then section boxes and sections, I believe. Yes, and now we're hiding it. All right, so now we can actually finally start, and we're starting off with either we can click on the foundation and then on rebar, or we go to the structure tab, go to rebar, go on OK. And then we get actually this Rebar Shape browser over here, and here we can see all of the shape, the rebar shapes that exist in Revit. And we are just simply looking for the U shape now. I believe it's a bit more up here, yes. And that is actually what we need, what we want to use in our case. All right, so now just simply go ahead and you can actually see a preview of how it's going to look. It looks nice, but before I sketch it, actually I want to explain a bit more those settings up here. So this means current work plane, but actually we don't know what the current work plane is. So in order to know that, we can go to structure and then set it, the reference plane, to reference plane 2. So click on OK, and now we know actually that where the section view is, that's also our work or reference plane. So now let's go back to structure, go to rebar, click on OK, and wait until the rebar browser is loaded. And then we're simply selecting 21. And then we want to have it in the current work plane, and we also want to have it parallel to work plane. Parallel to cover means really like it's parallel. So here's actually the description. Place the planar rebar perpendicular to the work plane and parallel to the nearest cover reference. So you can actually also read it yourself. And sometimes it's a bit hard also to understand how it works, and you need to try. So now that we see actually the preview, we can simply click on it, and the rebar was created. And now when you click on it, we still need to do the layout. We're gonna do maximum spacing, and we can also select a different rebar. So let's say H20, and now you see that it's also bigger. All right. Okay, so now let's go into section 2 and model here the U shape as well. Let's click on the foundation, click on rebar, and then on our U profile again. And now we simply click in here again. We want to distribute it again with maximum spacing. But now we see actually that we have clashes between the two rebars. So first off, we can just simply use those handles and move it a little bit inwards. And we can also do it here. But we actually have a really cool tool here, and that is edit constraints. And if you select on this, we can actually type in first off the distance from the edge, but we can also type in the distance from the cover. So if we know that we used H20, we can now actually do minus 20 millimeters, and then it's exactly in the spot where we need it. And then finish. And this looks really nice. Okay, so let's continue with our L shapes from the column, and let's simply let's go back for a second and have a look how they actually did it. Okay, so this L shape is going to sit on those U bars here, which is again in section 1, because here we can now see how they sit here. Yes, and now maybe we should make those section views a little bit smaller. And also, because we are now actually going in the column, we should maybe move it. And also the reference plane, so that's actually in the column and not outside of the column. Okay, do the same here. yeah, go back here, and now we see actually yeah, our rebars here again. They don't fit here, so let's move them a little bit. And that looks nice now. Okay, so now let's click on the column, click on rebar, and we need that L shape. Rebar profile, this is 12 and this is 11. And here you actually see one issue we get. So it finds actually the L profile when we use current work plane and parallel to work plane, but it doesn't let us do it in the column and the foundation. So now let's just simply put it in here. And also we need to move it as well. And now we basically should move it manually. But you can see actually that that we can align it pretty well so that it fits. And now we can also change this one, the constraint, to the other side. So let's do this. And I'm just gonna select this edge, and I'm gonna say it should be 0 from the cover. Cannot solve rebar shape using the current constraints. Okay, maybe it has to do with those below here. Let's try something else. Finish. And let's just move it manually. Let's see if that works. Now do this again. Edit constraints. Select that one. Select this cover. Say it's 0. And now it's working. I think the problem here was that this rebar side would have not been long enough if we moved it directly with the constraints. So it would have disappeared, and that's why we got this error message. Now click on finish. Next thing we should do is here also maximum spacing, or whatever layout you prefer. And now we can actually simply go ahead and copy and paste that. Before we do that, I just want to explain like the lengths here, so we can also of course manually change those lengths. Let's say we want to have 500 millimeters here, and you see that this is changing now. And let's make it more drastic here, 2 meters. And now it's moving down here. Okay, now we can take this and simply copy and mirror it basically. Here, use this mirror thing and then have the copy selected. Click on the mid line, the center line of the column. And then we should get the rebar on the other side. Yes, so that worked also pretty well. And now we're simply missing actually those rebars on in the other section. But we can actually do that in 3D, and we can maybe rotate them. So now you might think, okay, what is this? I cannot see anything. Just select all the rebars. When is it showing up here? All the rebars. Then go to visibility states here. And then simply in the view we are in, make it solid and view unobscured. Okay, it's still lines, so now you have to change it from fine, from medium to fine, and then we get those solid ones. And if you want to have it also rendered like realistic, we can also change that. And sometimes it takes a little bit to make it realistic, so you might don't want to work in the realistic mode because that drops your performance of modeling rebars, as in my case. Looks nice, doesn't it? Okay, so like the last step I want to do now is take those rebars, go in the top view, and rotate them. And of course we also want to copy them. So first off, just 90 degrees. And then I'm gonna take them here, like this, and go back in my section 2. So then I basically have like, yeah, like the lengths I want to work with, but I already see here we need 500 is way too much. It's not going to work, so let's do 200. And now let's edit the constraints. First this one to that one, yes. And okay, and I want to have it to the cover as 0. Okay, here we have the same issue again, that the length B wouldn't be long enough. So I'm just gonna finish and increase the length for a second, and let's say 400. Then I move it, and then I move it back. Okay, added constraints. Now that one, I want to have it at 0. Perfect. Finish. And then I can change length B again to 200 millimeters. There we go. And now the last thing I need to do is go in 3D again and align other constraints like the distribution, because you can see that we have a different length here. So, but to do that, I just want to have that rebar and my column visible. I'm going to edit those side constraints. So from here, and I want to have it, let's say minus 30 millimeters. And I want to have this constraint. Oh, that's the wrong one. This constraint the same. Oops. Sometimes it's a bit hard to select the right one. Yes, I want to have it also minus 30 millimeter from the cover of my column. Perfect. Now I finish. I go back in my section 2. I select that one and mirror it again. Let's do it from here. Alright, that worked also. And let's have a look in 3D. Of course, select all rebars again. Check none, structural rebar. Go to the visibility state. There we go. And make everything view as solid. And there we go. This is our reinforced foundation. I hope this video, helped you in any way. If it did, just leave a like there and subscribe to my channel. There will come more of those videos in the future. So hopefully see you in the next one. Bye.